Hello everyone, Karma Kitchen here back with a new video, and this might be a video you guys may or may not have been anticipating since I put out the little somewhat teaser-esque kind of thing, well, announcement really, of me finally reviewing Hazbin Hotel after, say, about like a few, it's been a while since it released. I wanted it to review this earlier, but I didn't want to do this kind of review with the stuff I had at the time. Now I have some better stuff, and I do really want to try reviewing this in a manner or style of other people I've seen reviewing this kind of media and content. Since I am not good with scripts, I'm probably going to skip out on trying to do those for these kinds of reviews. Instead, I'm rather going to have these sort of bulletin points and whatnot like that to illustrate what I should be talking about, in what order, and whatnot like that. And I'm going to try and go over things in an order of sort of how they're introduced. I'm gonna go in an order of, we're gonna go over the background of the show a little bit, then we're gonna review the story, then we're gonna review the characters, and then finally the stylistic stuff like that. And then after that, I'm gonna give my final thoughts on it and whatnot like that. And that's how this review is gonna go. It's not gonna go full on in-depth of everything, because I am still trying to figure this out and see whether or not I am okay with those kinds of reviews. And like I said, this is off script. So I'm going to try and keep it as on point as possible and try not to go off on a tangent or little rant about stuff either. I'm going to do my best to do that, so bear with me for this. Okay, let's start discussing the background of the show by the creator of the show, VivziePop. I'm not going to go over any of the drama, because I don't care for it. And usually I think you should judge a media on its own merits and not always have certain views on things like creators and whatnot ruin the taste or sour the taste for you. Yes, it's still important to acknowledge those things. I usually don't believe the drama for VivziePop. I've been through some of it, I don't believe it. Some of it I didn't. Like she said, she apologized. I'm not going to go over that. We're just going to go over the little background, quick little thing about her. And if you guys didn't know, which most people coming to here know, she's the one who created Hazbin. She created Hell of a Boss. She did a few short film animations and whatnot on her channel as well, like Holidays. She also did the Die Young animated fan video, which is pretty prominent in the furry fandom, I'll tell you that. And overall, that's what she uses her channel for a lot of speed paints, a lot of updates on the things she's creating, like Hazbin and Helva, and a lot of other animations as well. Her animation is really good, and after hearing about Hazbin, I have been very anticipated for it after seeing a lot of the updates and whatnot. It's been taking a long time for it to come out. If I remember correctly, the development's been around a few years for it to be doing all that, because I'm going through her YouTube channel right now, and some of the earliest stuff I can see about Hazbin for the character designs and whatnot is about 3 years ago, and then 9 months ago was when the actual pilot released. So that's a little quick review on some of the background for it. I can't go fully in depth on that because I don't fully know it, and I don't figure it's going to be fully important to bring up here in the video. It's just a little quick thing about her. The next thing to review would be the story. What's the story? What's the synopsis? What's the point of the show even existing and whatnot like that? The story itself is a pretty simplistic one, but it's still very enjoyable because of the way it's told and a lot of the characters in it. I'm going to go over just the standard synopsis of the story, the reasons why I like it, and then reasons I don't, or reasons I'd want to see improved on it. The main focus and plot of the story is that a lot of people tend to be sent down to hell, and it's starting to become a pretty big place now. So usually what happens is a sort of purge of souls that gets rid of a lot of people, and our main character Charlie wants to fix that, because he wants to rehabilitate them. And that's essentially the main story and the main plot. Yes, this plot is a bit simplistic. It's essentially a character who grew up in a terrible place, who's very upright, they're very peppy, and they want to help make the place they're in around as happy as they are. This has been done before, and it's been a bit done better. I can't think of any examples at the moment, but I do know that there have been similar cases of stories being told that way. Now, I don't think that having a bit of a simplistic story or plot that you're trying to go for is bad, as long as it's told good. The pilot does do pretty well to tell its story well, and it's still a pilot at the end of the day. It can't cram everything into this 30-minute runtime and be able to tell everything perfectly. It's setting itself up for an even bigger universe, and it's setting itself up for the story to be told in a much more lengthy way, because the show have been greenlit by now, and now we're just waiting for the episodes to come out. And now that it has episodes, it'll be able to tell that story appropriately better than what it's been doing here with the pilot. Because the way the pilot tells it, I think, is good, but is still flawed. Now, a somewhat more in-depth way of going into why I like the story is because it has a lot of potential. It has potential to have really good character arcs. It has potential to have good character interactions with the wide cast that we have. And it has potential to tell a really good story with an overarching plot. Something like Hell of a Boss is better in a sort of episodic way, having a very small plot, if one at all, and not really focusing on that, but just focusing on some neat little episodes to do. Something like Hazbin is very plot-oriented. It needs to have episodes that focus on characters more than it does need to have somewhat filler episodes, or episodes that are just there for the heck of it and for fun. And I really like that, because if the episodes are enough, if they're long enough, or if we have enough numbers of the episodes, then that has a lot of good potential to overarch these character plots that might be in the story, which probably will be in the story, and then have them be good, have them be flushed out, and have them be proper. It's why I like the story. It's got a lot of potential, but right now, it's only potential, and we haven't seen it to its fullest potential. We haven't seen it do what it's trying to accomplish. It's still trying to do that. Now, here's where I talk about the flaws of the story, and I said this earlier, the story's a bit simplistic. The way some of the characters, the way some of the plot goes, it's not the most thought-provoking thing ever, and it's not the most intriguing or engaging thing ever. The reason I'm intrigued in it is because it has a lot of potential, and that's another reason why people aren't, is because the potential isn't fully there. It's there, but it's not using it, and we have to wait. And for some people, that kind of turned them away from it, especially since at the time of this releasing, it was unknown whether or not it was going to get greenlit. So when people saw this, they're thinking, wow, this is some pretty neat stuff. But that's kind of all it is. And that is a flaw of the story. It feels too simplistic when you just give down the basic synopsis of it, and the only way it's interesting is with the characters, which is what I'm going to talk about next. So let's get to that. I'm only going to talk about main characters, none of the side or background characters. So that includes just the main cast. I'm not going to talk about Serpentis. I'm not going to talk about Cherry Bomb. I'm not going to do anything about that until I maybe review the show when it comes out and then talk about those guys separately. We're only going to focus on the main cast of characters because they're the most important and they have the most development, kind of. Okay, I'm going to talk about the characters in order they actually appeared in the pilot. Even if some appeared less frequently, that's the way I'm going to do it. Anyway, we're going to start off with our main protagonist, Charlie, who is supposed to be essentially the daughter of Lucifer. If I'm remembering correctly, it is Lucifer, down here in hell. And essentially, as I said earlier, she's very peppy, she's upbeat, and she wants to change and rehabilitate all these sinners so that they don't have to be purged and so they can be better people. However, she isn't really upbeat 24/7. We have seen in the pilot that she does doubt what she's doing. She's doubted herself, and she's not fully confident in herself. And I do like that. I do like that she's being very upbeat most of the time, but even she's going to get down, especially in living a place like this, and it opens up paths for her character to not always be super happy and super bright. That can be annoying, and to actually have her go through her own development as well, to maybe see some sort of different ideas or different viewpoints on her own output and aspects of how she sees things. And I do really like that and enjoy that. I don't want her to just be happy 24/7. The next character to talk about is Vaggie, Charlie's girlfriend. If I'm remembering properly, I don't know, I'm pretty sure it is canon. But Vaggie, as we see from the way she acts, is very supportive of Charlie. She's trying to help her as much as possible with the plan that she's trying to do. So that's already a point up there for her being a good person and a good character. But we also see that she does have a bit of a no-nonsense or toleration type of attitude. She's not going to be super nice towards everyone, and really has only been nice towards Charlie. Towards everyone else, she tends to have an attitude of not wanting to deal with them, or an attitude of annoyance towards them. So there's that. And this is one of the flaws with Hazbin's story and character telling, is that in the pilot, because it's a pilot, a lot of characters aren't fleshed out. Vaggie, and basically everyone else on this list of me going through the characters, suffers from this immensely. We see her personality, yes, but we don't see any character flaws. We don't see anything else to really add to her character besides being Charlie's girlfriend and being a bit sassy and no nonsense type of attitude. That's essentially it. We don't know anything else, and I know that we're probably going to get more information later on, but for now, there's not much to her. Okay, so here's the talk about the controversial character that everyone knows. Angel Dust, a pole dancer along with...
Porn star?
You fucking would, Tom.
He tends to be controversial, mostly for the role he takes up of also being gay, and a lot of the jokes he tells, even though you know what he is, and it kind of goes with what he is. If you don't think he's gonna make those kind of jokes with the character he's given, I'm sorry, you should know. It's kind of easy to tell. But, like, his character is very... hard to explain. I do like him. The Addict video gave a lot of development on him, but when I first saw him, I liked some of his jokes. I did. He gave me a good chuckle, gave me a good laugh. But other than that, he can be seen as annoying. He acts mean towards Charlie and whatnot, of not caring about the hotel. However, he is given a bit of development, as you see, with the way he tries to comfort Charlie as she's getting down, but just goes away instead. So there's the development. There's the potential right there for him to do more when the time comes. But other than that, he doesn't have much. He's just seen as an annoying, joke-cracking kind of guy. He's just going to put out all those types of jokes that are going to be kind of vulgar, going to be kind of crude, and that's about it. Now, yes, I know he's better than that, but when you only look at the pilot, it's really hard to tell if he can be better than that. Now, the next character that I'm talking about is one that everyone knows, which is Alistair, a very charismatic demon who tends to have a bit of a very, also somewhat upbeat personality, but not towards the likings of Charlie, but more in a sort of playful-esque type of demeanor. Kind of like Adachi from Persona 4. He says that the reason he's even doing anything to help her is because he's bored. That's in itself kind of funny right there, and we can already kind of guess his personality from that. And from the backstory, it said that he's a really ruthless and powerful demon as well. So that's also telling us that maybe there's a bit of a more darker side towards him that we really don't want to see. Now that's some good character telling. It's not development, because we're only seeing and we're kind of being told about it. We are also being shown, but it's mostly told to us. But it's still good, because we know he's charismatic. We know that he can act all happy and whatnot. He never doesn't smile. And we know that in his backstory, he's a very powerful and somewhat ruthless demon, so that leaves a lot of opportunities for something like that to happen. Someone like Whis as well, from Dragon Ball. You can see him act very charismatic and whatnot, somewhat goofy, but he does have a serious tone to him in certain moments, which is very nice.
You will kindly remove your hand. I said remove it.
But other than that, we don't get much other development, which is fine, because the development he gets is at least still better than a lot of the other development we get. Second to last character to talk over real quickly is Nifty. I'm not going to go over her in a lot of detail because there's nothing to go over. She's small, she's spunky, she has a bouncy personality. It's not like Charlie's, but it's definitely one of the ones that'll be maybe annoying, to where she's like constantly talking very fast. She's going to be bubbly and whatnot like that. But other than that, there's really nothing else to her personality. There really isn't. She's introduced very late on. She only has at least 2, if not less minutes of screen time. So she's not given anything, really, besides just that, the base value type of thing. And now the final character introduced, who is my personal favorite character, is Husk. I personally find him very interesting. I like his design, it's my favorite. His voice acting and whatnot like that. And the way he acts, I do really enjoy it. As he acts, you can tell that he's a drunk, he's a gambler. He obviously has history with Alistair, the same way that Nifty does. It's unknown what that history is, but it's there. It's showing that he's got something that's probably going to be developed later on. But that's where it ends. His personality is also kind of not caring-ish, because he just wants to he wants his booze, and that's it. He doesn't care about really anything else. but that's where his character ends. Like Nifty, and kind of like Vaggy, it's very face value. It leaves some room for development, but it's not shown what kind he can fully be given. And you've seen my video and know he only gets like 3.5 minutes of screen time. And that's with like a lot of cutting and whatnot, if not less than 3 minutes of screen time. And that's really a bad thing for Nifty and Husk, is that they're really good design characters. Their personalities can be seen as enjoyable, but because they're so lately introduced, they're not given a lot to work with here. So that's a really big flaw in how some of the character telling is. And I know it is a pilot. They can't fully flesh out or develop these characters because they have to set it up. And I'm fine with that, and I'm accepting that, but still, a lot of the setups are still very face value and don't feel like they're good setups for what may be really good character arcs, stories, and development. And that's what I find a flaw as some of the character telling in this. And they did make the Addict video for Angel, and that did really help his character a lot for those who don't read the comics or whatnot like that and only watch the pilot. I'm someone who only watched the pilot. I didn't read the comics, I haven't read a single one yet, but I did see the Addict video, and I enjoyed it. However, that video did good, but like some game lore and other whatnot, you shouldn't have to always go look at a separate thing to fully understand what's going on in the current situation or world. And that's kind of how the Addict video is as well. It gives you more insight for Angel, and hopefully this will be in the show, but it's not fully there in the pilot. You get the one scene of him being concerned for Charlie, but that's it. It's very small, it's kind of subtle, but it's not much. But I can be fine with that because, again, it's a pilot. You have to give it some leeway with how it's telling some of its story and how some of it's going to be. And that's basically it for me talking about the characters. A lot of them are introduced decently well, except for Husk and Nifty. Their introduction and the way they are introduced is rushed, it feels rushed, and it's not enough. I wish they were more introduced midway through the story, because that's where it felt like the story was kind of slowing down, too slow. But other than that, the characters are fine, their designs are good, their voice acting is good, the face value personalities they have can be seen as enjoyable. A lot of people I've talked to did enjoy them, save for a few, which they didn't like as much as others, but that's bound to happen, it just happens. But other than that, there isn't much else to say about these characters. We have to wait for them to get development, and that's it. We just have to wait. Face value is all we have for now. Somewhat flat personalities. Somewhat okay, maybe development kind of in the show. And that's all we can really deal with for now. Before I talk about the animation style and my final thoughts, I put this in my notes but not at the beginning of the video, is I want to talk about the show's comedy. The show's comedy is very vulgar-esque type of comedy. It has sex jokes in it. It has swear. It feels like the swears are part of the joke itself. Like that itself is the joke. And then you've got other stuff as well. But other than that, the comedy is kind of weak. I did laugh a good 2 or 3 times with some of the jokes. The Alistair and Angel joke.
And what can you do, my effeminate fellow?
I can suck your dick.
Ha! No.
I laughed at that. The Serpentious one.
Oh, harder, Daddy. Son?
I also got a chuckle out of that. The way Husk acted.
You thought it would be some kind of big fucking riot just to pull me out of nowhere? You think I'm some kind of fucking clown?
Maybe.
That made me chuckle as well. And I didn't really laugh at some of the physical comedy, like people getting hit and whatnot. That didn't make me laugh. I don't know if it was supposed to. Some of it looked like it might have been, but it didn't. And really, that's it. The comedy just needs to be improved. It needs to be written better. It needs to be written in a way where it doesn't seem like it's just trying to appeal to a bunch of teenagers by just swearing a lot. Like when a 14-year-old or something, or even 12-year-old, discovers Jacksepticeye or Markiplier and start laughing at them swearing near 24/7 in their videos. It just needs to feel different than that. It needs to feel like Hell of a Boss, where the jokes are written properly. It has some good shock humor type of jokes in there that come out of nowhere and kind of awe you, and this is kind of funny because of how weird it is. I feel like it needs to take lessons from Hell of a Boss in that respect. But other than that, the comedy is very okay. It just needs writing improvements. That's really all it needs. Because some people laughed at some jokes, some didn't, and that's comedy. Comedy can be subjective, but sometimes comedy in an objective sense can also just be bad or okay or really good. Personally, I think the comedy just needs some overall improvement. Other people don't, and that's totally fine. It's their opinion. The final topic to talk about is the style that Hazbin Hotel has. Its art style, the way it animates, the way it looks. It looks really, really good. The animation is really good. It's very superb, especially for like an indie thing with a lot of different animators and no official budget or development. It looks amazing. I'm obviously going to be putting clips here showing off really good effects, really smooth and solid animation. And really, I want this to stay the same way once it's greenlit and A24 takes over. I don't want the style to change. I don't want the way the characters look and the way it animates and moves around to change. And I'd like it to stay like this. This is what I want. However, the animation is also flawed and has flaws. Same with the character designs. A flaw I have seen in the animation is that it does have some animation and errors and mistakes it has. Like when Angel is supposed to be shooting Serpentius, there's not really a sound effect or an effect at all to show him being shot. So it's very weird. You've got a few moments like that. That one along with one of Angel sitting down and the way it looks where his arm's supposed to be, there's nothing there. The animation where Angel is like running and whatnot like that to tackle Vaggie, the perspective for it, the way she looks is a bit strange. And I'm giving it again some leeway because it's a pilot. You've got some really good animators and it still seems very well together with the different animations that they do. It still looks pretty good. There's just very few errors. The flaw I see though tends to come from character design and coloration. You've got characters like Husk, who is brown fur, his white fur, his orangish yellow teeth, his red wings with the designs on those, which are probably an atrocity to even try to draw, his tail, his hat, his fur. Trying to draw all that. Plus, you have to do things like Alistair, his red design. You've got Angel with his pink, his white, his dots on his head and whatnot like that. His eye, one of them colored in black. You've got Vaggie with the X on her eye. Dealing with those kinds of character designs from an animation standpoint is probably very difficult. You have to make sure that in each frame it looks good, it looks proper, nothing randomly disappears or is going to a different spot on their body. It's there the entire time, which would probably make animating it a very big chore. And as some people say, these character designs, while good individually, when you put all of them together on screen, don't blend well together because of how different they are. When you look at Hell of a Boss, every single one of the main characters, except for Luna, and kind of still is, they have red, black, and white as their main design, with some yellow, with like very few accents, which helps it blend in together and looks really good. Like, they look different from each other because their designs are different, and those different colorations also help differentiate them while still making them blend together very well when standing near each other. But then you've got Hazbin, which doesn't do that very well, especially when you've got a lot of backgrounds with a lot of intricate character designs and a lot of intricate colors, to where a lot of people can't make out these character designs and stuff in the background. I've seen comments in some videos, and some people say it was really hard for me to look into the background and kind of see what's going on because some of the designs didn't look right. I don't want that to change because I didn't have that problem, and I really like the style that it has in terms of its animation and character design. But I do think they might want to try and do something to fix that problem of everything being so intricate and so over-detailed that not only will it make it easier to animate, it'll make it easier for some people of the audience to see what's happening. Other than that, It's really good animation, it's really good style, and I personally wouldn't say change anything besides trying to make some way of making it easier to draw and animate these characters. Here are my final thoughts on Hazbin Hotel. It's good. I think it's good. I said this in the little quick teaser that it's an 8 out of 10. The flaws I had with it were that the storytelling could feel slow and improper, the characters somewhat interesting but never fully developed or given enough to show that they're gonna get development, and some of the jokes and the comedy that's trying to tell doesn't always land. I didn't talk about the music because for me, I'm not too interested in the music, so I'm not gonna talk about it. But I do think it's pretty okay and it's good. But other than that, it's enjoyable. It's a nice new change of pace from shows we've been getting from standard TV. It's a very interesting concept, it's interesting ideas, it's an interesting world that it has and it's building, and I want to see where this goes. It's why I like it so much and why I'm so intrigued by it, because it's very interesting. I want to see this be good, I want to see this get the recognition it deserves, and it has. It's why it's getting greenlit in the first place, and I'm hoping that when it's official, that it'll be as good as the pilot, if not better. I'm hoping it's better, and it's probably going to be anyway. But other than that, I do highly recommend it. The show is obviously not for everyone. A lot of the jokes and just in terms style of how it does everything, I know a lot of people who just really don't like it for that, and who aren't interested in what it's trying to do, and that's completely fine. You don't have to like it. If you don't like it, then that's fine. It's your opinion. You can have that opinion. My opinion is that it's good, but still has a lot of flaws. That's why I give it an 8. But because of a lot of the things I like in it, it's why it's not a 7. Because it still does do a lot of things really well. And I do highly recommend this to anyone who wants to try something new, to experiment with their tastes of genres and whatnot, to see these cool animations, these cool character designs, and see if you like it. I absolutely recommend Hazbin Hotel, and I think it's a really good thing that helped change up the animation community and genre in general. Thank you all so much for watching this review. I know that it's still not very professional. I know that it's still probably got a lot of audio issues and editing that could have been better. I'm just experimenting. I know I also said I didn't want to make this a 30-minute review, but after trying to go over everything the way I wanted to, it ended up being near 30 minutes anyway. I'm sorry for that. I'll try to make them a bit shorter so I don't take up your time, because I know the way I'm going to edit these aren't going to be the best, especially visually wise and audio wise, so I want to make them short. So I'm going to try and work on that anyway. But again, thank you for watching this video. I really do hope I can put out more better content, because that's what I want to do. I want to improve content, I want to do more reviews, I want to try doing some gameplay vids and whatnot like that with the capture card I just bought, and I'm going to just try to improve the channel overall.